George Janko exposes Logan Paul for being a terrible friend. What's up, YouTube frogs, by the way? If you guys are watching, if you want to watch the original video without my commentary, first link in the description. If you do stick around and you do enjoy this, your stay, a like and a sub would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I also go live almost every night on twitch.tv. That's the second link in the description. Feel free to come through. And last but not least, I have an ear infection right now, so I'm listening to this through a speaker, not a headphone, or through speakers, not headphones. And I can't mix the audio perfectly. So, I apologize if any of the audio is messed up. Thanks for being here, though. All right, let's tap in, chat.
All right, so we have George Janko talking about why he left Impulsive and some of the stuff that was going on behind the...
Oh, by the way, I saw that Logan came out and talked about this, so I don't know if this is updated info. By the way, this video is by Too Lazy to Try. Love his channel. I don't know if that's updated, but if it's not, then we will cover what Logan Paul said at a different time. And I know George Janko literally, I think earlier today, came out and responded to Logan Paul's like video, so we'll see.
The scenes that we haven't heard about. And
yeah, Opera GX is great. Sorry, I'll stop pausing so much for so early into the video. I'm pausing like a mother hecker.
And once again, this just confirms that Logan Paul is a terrible person that treats the people around him like garbage. You know, no surprise there. And George, he had Mike Malak on, which I'm sure Logan is pissed about, you know, because Mike doing this podcast, obviously George was going to talk about this stuff and talk about his falling out with Logan and how he's treated poorly. And Mike, he was trying to defend Logan a little bit, but not much. And he's mostly just trying to defend himself. So you know Logan's going to think that Mike didn't do enough here and is going to be upset with him, especially because this podcast is getting a lot of attention and people are sharing clips from it and talking about how terrible Logan is. So I'm glad this podcast happened. And it does seem like Mike actually feels bad about how things ended with George. Like, if you remember when George walked off the...
I'm going to be honest. I think Logan Paul is a bad person. I don't think he's... Like, people will paint him to be, like, a terrible, terrible person. I think he was a fucking piece of shit for the scam, right? The crypto scam. And I think he's done a lot of fuck shit, but I personally don't think that he is, like, as bad as people make him out to be. He's still a fuckhead, though. What's up, boss? How's it going, brother?
Bobby Lee episode. Mike was the only one to defend him, and Logan was just talking shit about George for leaving and was acting like it was unprofessional, which is kind of ridiculous considering the podcast is with Bobby Lee, who is the most unprofessional person ever. Like, he's walked out of shows before, and he's just known to be really inappropriate. Like, if you've seen any of his morning talk show appearances, he's always grabbing people and touching people, even when they say not to, and he just makes him really uncomfortable, which he was doing to George during this podcast, if you remember. Like, he, at one point, took his dick out and made George smell it. And then also, apparently, he kept trying to grab George's dick. And I remember at one point, George had to tell him to stop touching me. Like, he got fed up with it.
Suck, left me on red. You suck. First of all, don't touch me. Do not touch me.
My bad.
Thank you.
All right. But,
Then also, George talked about recently how they had cut some moments from the podcast.
Austin, that's fair, bro. That was like, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was a fucking low gangster, a fucking maverick. Strong soldier, dude. I actually didn't even really start watching Logan Paul until after the Force and everything. I watched Impulsive a lot, especially during like 2018, 2019. I think it was 2018. I think it started in like 2017 or some shit. But yeah, like 2018, 2019, a little bit in 2020. And I was like, no, I think Logan Paul like really has like changed and like gotten better. And then the crypto stuff came out, and I was like, all right, bro, you're a repeat offender of just like screwing people over. The George situation, I think that Logan did, at least from everything that I've heard, fuck him over some, but I also think that George is just like plays it up way too much. Like, he's trying to put himself in the victim mentality way too much. And I also don't agree with a lot of George's takes on like social stuff, so that could be part of the reason why I'm like, yeah, they're both just fucked in this situation. But yeah, I mean, this situation I totally get. I would be uncomfortable in this situation as well, that George was with Bobby Lee.
Podcast, probably where Bobby was acting inappropriate, and it made George look worse because then it looked like he had walked out just because he got offended by the jokes. Then George also said that Logan told him he needed to apologize to Bobby, and if he didn't, then he'd be kicked off the show. And Logan also told him that he shouldn't talk as much during the podcast unless they have no guest on.
Who was the first person that jumped off the couch and said, George just left, that was not good, we have to fix the situation?
But did they not cut shit that you should have stood up for me and said, hey, you can't cut that shit? That's going to make him look like an idiot for leaving.
Okay, numerous times on the show, which I'm sure a number of shows do, cut things that we believe will protect the integrity or reputation of the guest.
That protected nobody but him.
No, of the guest. That's what I'm trying.
Well, what about the guy that you break bread with, bro?
But
I had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds, he kept grabbing my dick.
I don't think...
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick,
right,
talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living brakes off of this guy? Because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impulsive anymore. How fucking crazy is that?
I don't think I understood. I can always speak for myself.
Bro, it's on a group chat.
I hope you can understand
it's on a group
that.
chat.
No. I'm talking about during the episode.
And I said, Mike, this is all that happens. And you said verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guest. You are really there for a boys only episode. So while I get sexually harassed, my other co-host is trying to fire me, and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests. And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
I just think,
dude, I see, Austin, I do really like Mike. I think the thing about Mike is he is very loyal to Logan because I think he views Logan as kind of the person that gave him another chance when he was like trying to like figure his shit out. And I get it. He does seem like he will dick ride Logan. But kind of with the way that I respect Joe Rogan when he does that kind of shit with people that are like fuckheads, I got some respect for Mike as well, you know, because it's like, yo, I'm going to fucking ride or die for my boy. It is fucking annoying, though, in these situations. I think George is 100% right. I didn't realize that Bobby Lee, and I think it's probably because of the way that Impulsive was like trying to watch out for Bobby Lee and also catch themselves in this situation. I didn't realize like how aggressive it was. Like, yeah, that is straight up like, you could say that is SA for sure. All the shit that Bobby Lee was doing to George. I don't really think it's fair either, at least from the way that this video is cut, the way that George is like not giving Mike the chance to respond to any of it. I gotta watch the full thing if I really want to commentate on it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, bro. Also, I'm sorry, bro, that happened with the fucking lake, dude. Are you doing okay now?
On my 30th birthday, you shot 3 episodes. Bro.
I think
that's crazy. It was on the calendar for months.
And if Logan's lapdog, Mike, isn't denying any of this, then it must be true. And it just sounds like Logan. I mean, it's not that surprising. And towards the end, you could tell that Logan wanted to get rid of George.
Yeah, honestly, my mic takes are probably gonna fucking age poorly, but like, you know, fuck it, dude. I do think like Mike has said a lot of shit that has like resonated with me well and like helped me when I was like younger and also like make me think about shit. So I don't know. I'm still gonna always kind of fucking have Mike's back.
He was just completely done with him. Especially after the whole argument they had about religion, where it got really awkward. And it was clear Logan was just trying to start shit with him and get him worked up and pissed off and trying to make a fool out of him, which ended up backfiring. You know, most people thought Logan was being the dick there. So it's obvious George wouldn't be around much longer, especially once he started his own podcast, which of course Logan wasn't too happy about. But at least he'd use that as a way to push George out of Impulsive. Like George said that he got an offer from Celsius to do a brand deal with them for his podcast. And Logan told him if he wanted to do that, then he would have to leave Impulsive because, you know, Celsius is a competitor to Prime, which is really hypocritical from Logan because if you remember, he got in a giant argument with his brother about something like this because one of Jake's boxing events was sponsored by Celsius and Logan had nothing to do with it. Like he didn't need to be there. And he probably wouldn't have been there, but he saw it as an opportunity to get free advertising. So he was trying to walk out and be ringside with a Prime bottle. But of course, the people running the event told him he couldn't do it because it would just make no sense. Like, what do they get out of it? And it's a competitor. So Logan threw a temper tantrum over it. And then also at the same time, he has the audacity to tell George on his own podcast that he can't be a sponsor of Celsius. And also apparently Logan was barely paying George to do Impulsive.
I do get that Logan's being kind of a bitch about it. Like, bro, I understand that there's like competitors and like your homie, whatever, but like, dude, Prime, I'm sure makes enough fucking money. Also, I would just like to say Celsius only had it a couple times. It's been pretty poop. I'm not gonna lie. It's been pretty poop. Prime, I actually do like. I wouldn't drink it to refresh myself. You know, I think I've said this before. I wouldn't drink it to refresh myself, but if I'm trying to have a little like, ooh, like, let me supplement, like, instead of like drinking like a Mountain Dew or like an energy drink, I'll drink this Prime instead. You know, not the energy drink Prime. Again, I said the fucking Prime energy is just like slightly better NOS, is my experience. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to give Celsius another try.
And he said for a year he wasn't even making anything. And same thing with Mike. He said he's doing it for a couple of years without making anything. And then also George said, well, Logan was telling him not to take the Celsius deal. At the same time, Logan would be flexing how much money he's making from Prime.
When Logan came after me for my religion, the show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. So I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show and I'm getting pushed out of this show.
Well, at the time we weren't making.
And by the way, let's not forget that for a year and a half I didn't get paid.
No, and I didn't get paid for years.
Okay.
Until I got paid.
Okay, so
right.
let's just make sure
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What would
way,
you say, like,
always grateful. I was always grateful.
like that?
Yeah, I don't like to talk about money, but I was
Sorry.
always grateful. Always grateful. I think anybody could see that. But when I got pushed out, and I'm seeing that I'm getting pushed out, and I start my own show, do you know what my final straw was?
What?
I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. And I'm saying, hey, man, you can't tell me what to do on my own show. That's not okay.
What was that about?
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius. And then I said, hey,
He
man.
didn't tell you that you couldn't
I have
take
text
Celsius.
messages.
No, he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He
Says if I take Celsius, I'm not a part of Impulsive.
Then he told you that if you take Celsius, that you cannot continue to be on Impulsive, which is the core driver for Prime, as you're going to continue to funnel viewership from the Impulsive show back to your show, which promotes a competitive product.
Yeah.
He also told you that if you wait 6 months after the deal's done, you're more than welcome to rejoin the show if you need to make money.
But they're always trying to find a way to push me out.
I get that. I get feeling that way. I don't know if that's really like I don't know. I stopped watching Impulsive at that point, so I don't know if that's how it really was. Two things on this. One, I think he could have been very much looking at like Logan being an instigator and trying to start shit as him pushing him out, and I get feeling that way. But also it could be also the like just like, oh, they don't want me anymore. Oh, they don't like me anymore. Like mindset, which could be, you know, problematic. I feel like a lot of times in life you can destroy like friendships with that by just being like looking for them to not like you anymore. And two, to play fucking devil's advocate, Logan said in his response video, which again we'll fucking cover that in George's response video to Logan's response video, that he wanted to counter the Celsius offer with a Prime offer, but George wouldn't. So is that true? I don't know. Logan even said he'd pay everyone back who invested, which was 2 years ago, and now he still hasn't. Yeah, which is crazy. So maybe he doesn't even have the fucking bread like that. People are fucking stupid. They are donating money to a scammer on TikTok. Yeah, people be dumb. But yeah, I'm fine. I just said to my parents because I jumped in. You guys have to now. Did they?
I don't. You know what he told me? And I told you know what I told. Hold on, hold on.
think that was
this
a
is a guy who's this is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making. Okay, and on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten a percentage of that.
I do agree. If Prime was if Impulsive really is like the main fucking force behind Prime sales, they either should have got a percentage in the company or a percentage of the sales directly like related to that show. Like they should have been paid. I don't give a fuck about what they're paying Mike or what they paid Mike and George. They should have been if Prime is, you know, Impulsive is the main fucking source of Prime's fucking success or whatever the fuck Mike was claiming, right? Or like, you know, the fucking it's like the main source that like props Prime up. They should be giving them a percentage or at least more pay if Prime is doing really well.
I never asked for it like the way you did. I stayed the fuck out of it. I didn't care because I'm grateful for what I'm making. I'm gonna go start my own business. Like, I will take half the deal that Celsius gives me, half, if you want to put it on the table for my show, a quarter, work with me. He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. And then I said,
If he actually said that, that is fucking crazy, bro.
well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Listen,
That's fighting words, bro. Look at me. That's fighting words, bro. You don't bring up somebody's father.
Would you say that the way that you handled it from a word standpoint was mature, acceptable?
What did I say? That I beat the brakes off of him?
Correct.
If he was in front of me, I would have swung at him.
But that's what I'm trying to say. We were at a point where no one was speaking properly to each other.
Yeah, so Mike was defending Logan quite a bit there. I wonder if he had to get permission from him to do this podcast. You know, I feel like he probably had to ask Logan about it. And if he didn't, then, like I said, Logan will be really upset. Because obviously Mike had to know this would be a bad look for Logan. And a guy, Dylan Dennis, tweeting about him again. Like he said, hey, George, we should sue Logan for allowing a guest to sexually assault you in the workplace and covering it up through editing. Then he also said, hey, WWE, he tagged them. He said, do you...
Bro, dude, Dylan Dennis, I saw the shit that he was doing on Twitter, bro. That guy needs to grow the fuck up. He literally acts like a fucking, like, 14-year-old talking about, like, Logan Paul's fiance and shit. That was so weird, bro. Like, listen, call Logan Paul a piece of shit. You can say Logan Paul is one of the worst human beings. Fucking beat him up, fucking talk shit. This is fucking fair, right? Overall. I mean, I don't know about going at someone's, like, technically, like, workplace, right? But Dylan Dennis was a bitch. Like, straight up. Yeah, dude. By the way, I can already feel the YouTube commenters, like, when I was fucking making fun of Brendan Schaub. Be like, dude, this guy would get the shit beat out of him by this guy. Yeah, dude, obviously I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me by a professional fighter. Dude, this guy would suck his dick just so that he wouldn't beat the fuck out of him. Nah, dude, I'd suck his dick because he's hot, dude. I mean, at least Brendan Schaub, you know, because that guy, like, at least is kind of funny. Dylan Dennis is literally like the Amy Schumer of talking shit before a fight. Dude, yeah. Yeah, Mike really was glazing, bro. I know my fucking take on Mike is not a popular one, but I don't know, dude. To be fair, if he felt Logan was controlling him, he probably didn't want to take that Prime offer. True. Logan even said that he'd pay everyone back. Yo, okay, I read that already. Yeah, got a hilarious vid of my dad. Dude, W. Bet, bro. It's immediate big bet.
Again, like he said, hey, George, we should sue Logan for allowing a guest to sexually assault you in the workplace and covering it up through editing. Then he also said, hey, WWE, he tagged them. He said, do you condemn Logan Paul for letting his best friend get sexually assaulted while laughing and threatening him with termination if he says anything, then deleting the footage and firing him? Interesting. Yeah, so I don't know if it'll get serious enough to where Logan has to address it or anything like that, but...
Sounds good, Sarah. I appreciate you. Sleep well. You are a flippin' real one. Have a great day tomorrow.
I feel like he could take some shots at George on his podcast because he does like talking shit about him. I mean, even after George left, Logan continued to trash him on his podcast. So I feel like there's a good chance he could talk about this, and he'll probably just yell at Mike for going on there.
Yeah, dude, WWE, ooh, they have quite the track record of having people who are, you know, not exactly the best human beings a part of their, you know, their programming. Dude, honestly, really good video, but too lazy to try because this opened my eyes to a lot of shit. I mean, obviously, again, I don't really agree with a lot of the shit that George Janko says, but like, if he got fucked over, at the end of the day, I am all about fucking like workers' rights and shit. And if he was not getting paid properly or treated properly in the workplace, as well as like if Logan was just literally a piece of shit to him, then yeah, dude, fucking good on him for calling it out. I don't think having Mike on the podcast and getting mad at Mike was really the way to do it. But I mean, I guess if that's what needed to be done to get these issues aired out, because it sounds like he's been trying to talk about it for a while, then more power to him.
So that's about it for this video. But if you guys want more content from me, make sure you check out my Patreon account. I post a new video on there every week. And this Monday, I'm going to be talking about the time Tim Dillon humbled Whitney Cummings during this really cringy podcast.
Whitney who?
And last week on there, I talked about how Theo Vaughn is a cheapskate. And there's just a ton of other stuff to go through. There are over 70 videos at this point. So if you're a fan of the channel, I highly recommend it. Make sure you check it out. I'll put a link.
Guys, check out Too Lazy Too Late. Absolute real one. Covers a lot of good shit. tap in. The guy that filmed the slip and slide victim and laughed is a bad friend? Who else is hugely surprised that Logan Paul is a bad friend? No one is shocked that the crypto scammer is a bad person in other ways. George Janko exposes the sky for being blue. None of these guys are actually friends. They're business associates. Yeah, even if that is true, again, I will say that Mike, for whatever reason, feels that Logan like gifted him basically this career, which I think Logan did definitely help like prop him up and shit a lot. But I think that Mike would have been successful in one way or another, to close to this extent, if not to this extent, even without Logan. I got about halfway through the video when I realized I don't give a fuck about any of these people. It's real, dude. Mike admitting he wasn't paid for years. He just followed and did what Logan said for years, like a good little lapdog, really is the icing on the cake. Again, I don't like really. Here's the thing. I understand, right, that people are pissed. But again, bro, I think it's just like one of those loyalty things. Like, dude is loyal because Logan Paul did give him a huge like opportunity, right? I still think that Mike would have made it far even without Logan eventually, but he did definitely boost him a lot, and I can understand him then viewing that as like him owing Logan something, you know, and then turning into his like lapdog or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. I think people should be a little more fair with that. Instead of just be like, yeah, dude, he's just like a fucking lapdog. He's just fucking on Logan Paul's dick. You know,